June 18, 1993. Sacramento, California. 9:01 a.m. The package sat quietly on the desk. No label. No return address. Just string, tape, and a strange weight inside. A secretary reached for it. She smiled. It looked like a gift. She handed it to the man sitting nearby. He opened it. Boom. The floor shook. The air filled with smoke. Screams echoed down the hall. Glass shattered. Blood hit the walls. The man collapsed. Chest torn open. He never had a chance. Sirens were coming. But it was too late. Not just for him, for everyone. Because this wasn't the first. And it wasn't the last. This was bomb number 15. And the man behind it? He had no name, no face, no fingerprints, and no pattern. The FBI had been hunting him for over a decade. And still, he was always one step ahead. How did he build deadly bombs alone in the woods? Why did he target strangers across the country? And how did a single sentence, buried in a 35,000-word manifesto, finally bring him down? This really happened. Every part of this story can be verified. And it changed the way the FBI tracks killers forever. Subscribe to @UnbelievableTrueStory. Because monsters don't live in movies, they live next door. And the next story might be about someone just like you. April 3, 1996. Lincoln, Montana. Snow covered the forest floor. It was cold, still, silent. Agents moved slowly. They were dressed like hikers. No sirens, no radios, no dogs. They didn't want him to hear them coming. He lived in a cabin. Just one room. No electricity. No water. Just books, paper, wires, tools. Inside that cabin was the most wanted man in America. His name was Theodore John Kaczynski. To the FBI, he was Unabomber, short for University and Airline Bomber. To the world, he was the Unabomber. To his neighbors, he was just that quiet guy in the woods. Ted Kaczynski wasn't always a ghost hiding in the trees. Once, he was a boy genius, a prodigy. Born in 1942 in Chicago, he was building complex machines at age 9. By 16, he got into Harvard University. But he wasn't happy. He didn't fit in. Other students said he was strange, cold, distant. During college, something happened. Ted took part in a secret psychological study. He was humiliated, broken down. His own words were used to attack him, over and over again. That study lasted 3 years, and some say that's when Ted began to change. After college, he earned a PhD in mathematics. At just 25, he became a professor at Berkeley. But then, he vanished. He quit his job, gave up everything, and moved into a tiny cabin in the Montana woods. No phone, no running water, no neighbors, just silence. For most people, it was a retreat. For Ted, it was a war base. May 25, 1978. Chicago, Illinois. A package appeared at Northwestern University. It looked normal. A wooden box with rubber bands and metal parts inside. The security guard picked it up. It exploded in his hands. He survived. But barely. Over the next few years, the bombs kept coming. Universities, airlines, businesses. Seemingly random. Each time, the device was homemade, but deadly precise. No fingerprints, no clear motive. The FBI realized this was the work of one man. They called him the Unabomber. For 17 years, Ted Kaczynski mailed bombs across the U.S. He never used the same materials twice. Sometimes nails, sometimes wood, sometimes razor blades. One bomb was disguised as a book, another as a wooden plaque. One was left in a computer lab, set to explode when moved. The bombs killed 3 people: a computer store owner in Sacramento, a Yale professor, a timber industry executive, and they injured 23 others. Some lost fingers, vision, or limbs. But there was no pattern, no clear reason. And that's what terrified the FBI most. By the late 1980s, the FBI knew something chilling. The Unabomber wasn't just trying to kill, he was trying to send a message. He hated technology. He believed machines were destroying mankind. He wanted to stop progress, by force. And worse? He was smart. Smarter than any profiler expected. He studied chemistry, engineering, psychology. He read books on law enforcement, how to fool forensics. And he used it all. The FBI had hundreds of agents on the case. But for 17 years they had no name. No photo. Not even a confirmed sighting. June 24, 1995. Washington, D.C. letter arrived at the New York Times. Typed, precise, cold. It was from the Unabomber. He said he would stop killing if they did one thing: publish his manifesto. All 35,000 words. In full. If not, more people would die. The FBI was torn. If they published it, it might encourage other terrorists. But if they didn't, he might strike again. After months of debate, they gave in. On September 19, 1995, the Washington Post printed the full manifesto. Its title: Industrial Society and Its Future. Inside, Ted raged against modern life. He said technology had enslaved people. He claimed machines were robbing humans of meaning. He called for a revolution, one that destroyed the system. By any means, the FBI had a secret hope. They believed someone, anyone, might read the words and recognize the author's voice. Because the manifesto didn't just sound angry, it sounded personal, detailed, specific, like it came from a man who had been hurt and never healed. They told the public, if this writing reminds you of someone, please come forward. Even if it's your own family. Far away in upstate New York, a man was reading the manifesto. His name was David Kaczynski. As he read, chills ran down his spine. Not just because of the ideas, but because of the voice, the phrasing, the tone, the logic. It sounded like his brother, Ted. David knew Ted had grown distant. He lived off-grid, didn't talk much, but could he really be him? David shared the manifesto with his wife. She said what he feared. David, this sounds like Ted. David didn't want to believe it, but he knew he had to act. He gathered old letters from Ted, compared them to the manifesto. The writing style was identical. He hired a lawyer and gave the letters to the FBI, but he made one request. Please don't arrest him unless you're sure. And don't tell the press our names. The FBI agreed and began watching the man in the woods. April 3, 1996. Lincoln, Montana. After weeks of planning, the FBI moved in. They approached Ted's cabin. Quietly, they knocked. He opened the door. Inside they found bomb parts, chemical formulas, typewriters, journals, and one ready-to-mail explosive device. There was no doubt the Unabomber had been caught. And he'd been living in a 10 by 12-foot shack for nearly 20 years. This is a real story. Every fact you hear is public. You can check it yourself. If real-life mysteries leave you breathless, subscribe now to an unbelievable true story. Because the next truth we uncover might hit even closer to home. The FBI kept their promise to David. They didn't release his name, but when reporters found out, the headlines exploded. Brother turns in Unabomber. Kaczynski family shocked. David was crushed. He didn't want fame, he didn't want praise, he just wanted his brother to stop killing. In an interview, David said, "It was the most painful decision of my life." Ted refused to plead insanity. He didn't believe he was mentally ill. But psychiatrists said otherwise. They diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia. He believed the government was watching him. He saw science as evil. He thought technology was a disease. In 1998, Ted Kaczynski pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Why did he do it? Wo may much risk. How did a brilliant young man become a killer? Brahman Pony 4. Was it the experiment at Harvard? Ooh. The isolation in the woods? Or something deeper, a belief that violence could fix the world? And here's the chilling part. There were warning signs, but no one knew what they meant until it was too late. After his arrest, the FBI brought in boxes from the cabin, old papers, books, machines, and 17 years worth of handwritten journals. They opened them slowly. Each page was filled with thoughts, plans, hate. In those journals, Ted described everything. How he chose targets, how he built bombs, how he felt when people died. Ted didn't show guilt, he didn't weep for his victims. Instead, he wrote this: "I felt no emotion when I learned they died. It was necessary. The system must be destroyed." The FBI flipped through more pages. He recorded bomb tests in the woods. He calculated blast patterns. He wrote about the perfect kill, A bomb that would explode without a trace. Every detail was methodical, like a lab report with blood. In one notebook, they found a list. It had names, schools, companies, cities. Most had checkmarks. A few didn't. They realized it was a hit list. Some of the names had never been attacked. But Ted was planning it. And if he hadn't been caught, he would have kept going. After reading the journals, the FBI made a chilling discovery. They had almost caught him several times. In 1987, a witness saw a man leaving a bomb. She gave a description. The police sketch looked exactly like Ted. In 1993, a fingerprint was found on a package. It was partial, but matched the type of glove Ted used. In 1995, the manifesto was almost not published. If it hadn't been, his brother might have never come forward. Each time, they were inches away, and each time, he slipped through. To the world, he was a terrorist. To the FBI, a genius criminal. But to some, he was a puzzle. Ted hated society, but he was once part of it. He was bullied as a child, used in experiments as a teen, alone as an adult. He told the court, "I knew what I did was wrong, but I believed it was right." And that's different. Imagine you're Ted's brother. You read something online. It sounds like your family member. Would you say something? What if you were wrong? Marseille. What if you were right? Would you turn in your own blood? Now, David did. And even today, he says, "Well, anyway, I still love my brother, but I couldn't let him kill again." Everything in this story, every letter, every bomb, every moment, is real. You can read Ted's journal. You can visit the cabin, now kept by the FBI. You can even find his mugshot, still chilling after all these years. Ted Kaczynski was sent to ADX Florence, the Supermax prison in Colorado. He lived in a concrete cell for 23 hours a day. No internet, no visitors, just books, paper, silence. In 2021, he was moved to a medical facility due to cancer. On June 10, 2023, Ted Kaczynski died by suicide in his cell. He was 81 years old. The FBI spent 17 years and over $50 million trying to catch him. It became the longest and most expensive manhunt in FBI history. And in the end, it wasn't fingerprints, it wasn't DNA, it wasn't cameras. It was a sentence, a single sentence, written on paper, read by a brother. That's what brought down a ghost. Today, the cabin sits in a government evidence room. Tiny, dark, empty. But once, it was a factory of death, built by a man who thought he could save the world, by destroying it. Have you heard this story before? What do you think made him snap? Was it childhood pain, mental illness, or a mind that saw too much and broke? Let us know in the comments. After the arrest, America breathed a little easier. The bombings were over. The Unabomber was behind bars. But something strange happened. People didn't forget him. They couldn't. In the years after Ted's arrest, a strange fascination grew. Books were written, documentaries aired, websites popped up, analyzing every sentence of his manifesto. Some called him a madman, others called him a prophet. That's when the fear changed, from bombs to ideas. College students began studying it. Philosophers debated it. Even tech CEOs admitted they had read it. One said, "It's terrifying how much he got right, even if his methods were unforgivable." Some of Ted's predictions had come true. People glued to screens, AI replacing jobs, loneliness rising in a digital world. Was it luck? Or a glimpse into the future from a deeply broken mind? The public was divided. Many saw Ted as a terrorist and nothing more. But others whispered, "What if we didn't listen? What if the system is broken?" They didn't defend his actions, but they questioned the world he warned about. It wasn't about justifying him. It was about understanding how he got that far. David Kaczynski stayed silent for years. Then he began to speak out. He became an advocate against the death penalty. He wrote about mental illness. He spoke to victims of violence. But the pain never left. He once said, "Every time someone says, Unabomber, I think of a lonely boy I grew up with, not the man on the news." One theory never died. Back in Harvard, When Ted was just 17, he had joined a secret study. It lasted 3 years. Each week, he was brought into a room, hooked up to wires, then verbally attacked by experts, mocked, ridiculed, broken down. It was meant to study stress and obedience. Some believe that's where Ted cracked. That the study shattered his trust in authority. The lead researcher? Dr. Henry Murray, a psychologist with ties to early CIA programs. Coincidence? Or something darker? Here's a question no one likes to ask. Was Ted Kaczynski always a killer? Or could someone have stopped him? His family noticed signs. His teachers saw his brilliance. His journal showed years of growing rage. But no one connected the dots. He was quiet, smart, strange, but not violent yet. For 17 years, Ted sent bombs through the mail. But here's the truth. He wrote more than he killed. He sent letters, rants, warnings. He wanted to be heard before he wanted to be feared. And when no one listened, he changed his method from paper to explosives. Today, the Unabomber case still haunts the FBI. Agents use it as a training case, a lesson in patience, pattern, and public tips. But there's something else. They know now. The next threat might not come from a foreign group. It might come from someone completely alone. A loner, a genius, a voice that no one hears until it's too late. Every part of this story is true. The manifesto exists, the cabin was real, the fear was felt across a nation. And the man who caused it? He walked among us, quiet, ordinary, invisible, until he wasn't. In one of Ted's final journal entries, he wrote, "They'll never understand why I did it. They'll just call me crazy. But someday, they'll see. Someday. They'll all see." After Ted was arrested, the FBI didn't just breathe a sigh of relief, they rushed into a panic. Why? Because when they opened his journals, they found something they didn't expect. Blueprints for bombs that had never been sent. There were maps, drawings, mailing schedules. He had planned more attacks. Some packages were already built, marked with dates for mailing. One was aimed at a major airport. Another was set to go to a university dean. The only reason they weren't mailed. Ted was arrested first. If the tip hadn't come in, more people would have died within weeks. In one box was a leather-bound book. It was labeled only with one word, hits. It held step-by-step notes of each bombing, what he made the bomb from, how he packed it, what the media said afterward. He wrote about one target who survived but lost both hands. Ted's note? Disappointing. He wasn't meant to live. The FBI realized something chilling. Each life was just an entry. Each death, a line in a notebook. After the Unabomber attacks, everything changed. All mail systems added new scanning procedures. X-ray scanners became more common. Packages over a certain weight were flagged. Random mail was destroyed if suspicious. Campus mailrooms added security. Airports rewrote policies on receiving deliveries. The fear didn't go away overnight. For years, professors, scientists, and even artists checked every package with trembling hands. Here's a theory that never quite went away. What if Ted didn't act alone? Some investigators questioned, how could one man hide from the FBI for 17 years? How did he get so many addresses? Who mailed the packages when he didn't leave his cabin? There were never clear answers. No evidence of an accomplice was ever found, but suspicions remained. A few agents even believed someone out there helped him. And maybe they're still free. Today, the world is even more connected, more digital, more distracted. And that's what makes this story more relevant than ever. Because Ted didn't use social media. He didn't hack systems. He didn't use AI. He used paper, metal, and silence. And yet, he caused terror nationwide. Now imagine what someone smarter, with modern tools, could do. If your brother started writing strange things, would you read them? Would you report them? If you saw a package left alone at a university, would you ignore it? Or say something? The Unabomber case isn't just about a killer. It's about us. The people who didn't speak up. The systems that didn't act fast enough. The neighbors who thought, he's just quiet, not dangerous. Everything you've heard in this story is documented. Court records, FBI files, journals and evidence rooms, photographs of bomb victims, still online. This is not fiction. This is what really happened. And it changed how America sees its own people. Because the most dangerous man for 17 years was not in a gang, not part of an army, not in a foreign country. He was in Montana, in a cabin, with silence and rage. Before Ted died, he wrote one final note. It was found near his bed. The FBI never released all of it, but one line was shared. "I regret only that they stopped me before I was done." So what really made him snap? Was it the isolation? The experiments? The belief that no one listened? Or was he always broken, and the world just gave him a reason? We may never know. What we do know is this: evil doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes, it comes with a stamp. Have you heard of the Unabomber before this? Do you think he was born evil, or made that way? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe real stories like this must be told, subscribe now to @UnbelievableTrueStory, because the next tale we uncover might be even closer than you think. Watch the next video on your screen, or explore our full list of true crimes and real mysteries. The scariest part? They're all true.